Bada bing, bada boom. Worldwide, everybody's rocking in the room. We got Grant, Jackson, and myself back here for another UFC card. Grant and Jackson had a little bit of a wager that they had between the two of them, so we'll be going into that a little bit later. But to get us started here, we're going to get right into the card here. It's UFC Fight Night, and Jackson wants to go over his favorite prelim fights. So we're going to get started with that, and I'm going to bring that up for you all right now. All right.
Yeah, so we got Victoria Dudakova going up against Sam Hughes here. Clearly, just good value inherent in Victoria because she's about a 1.6 to 1 favorite in most markets. You're getting her underdog prices here on PS. And she's a fighter that I really like. Super exciting, always applying forward pressure. She's going to start out hot, just run across that cage and start shooting. She is versatile. She can either keep striking distance, bounce around on her feet, make something happen, piecing up her opponent, or she can work in some grappling. Powerful, clean striking, good BJJ. Shoots good takedowns too, like classic doubles and singles, defends takedowns as well. Her last fight at Atlantic City was canceled because she was sick, I think. I think it was like an undisclosed illness. Canceled after they started. Her last fight was Jinyu Fry, who she beat, I would say, pretty handily, got a knockdown, lots of striking success in that fight. BJJ didn't look the best in that one. She was fighting off of her back a lot, and she doesn't always look the best when she's fighting off of her back. And she's going up against Sam Hughes, who is, I would say, known for her toughness. And if anyone could make Victoria Dudakova fight off her back, it's a girl like Sam Hughes. So it could definitely be a factor here. I don't like usually is able to use her weight to bully her opponents around. I don't think she's really going to be that much bigger than Dudakova here. She's also pretty big for the class. Very aggressive, like I said, hittable as well, negative striking differential. Really good cardio, can definitely exploit her opponents there. She has 7 takedowns in the UFC. She is tough, not dangerous at all, though. Can definitely take a beating, kind of like Mackenzie Dern vibes. Coming off decision loss to Yasmin Uregui. She went 0 of 6 on takedowns there, couldn't hang in the striking at all. And Victoria is a pretty big favorite here. I think that in itself is a little bit surprising. I think it's a close fight. But Vicky is, I think, the better fighter overall. Definitely more technical, like skill for skill. Sam's pressure, though, has won her fights over like more skilled opponents in the past. But Victoria's my pick. I believe in her. I think she's going to wrestle early, implement, her more technical skills. Sam can definitely get taken down. So this is definitely going to decision. So don't expect any sort of crazy finish from either of these girls, but you're getting a good price for Dudakova here.
Okay. That's what I was about to ask. I was like, is it going to go against the market here and say it's going to, get short? But it sounds like it's going the full distance.
Yeah.
Now, the next fight you got here is 2 names I'll let you pronounce. But I can try pronounce Jordan Vucinic. That's close enough to Nikola Vucevic for me. So
yeah, that was good. Yeah, so Vucinic is kind of like a Cage Warriors legend. He's entering this fight. We just IPO'd him because it's his debut at $1. Going up against kind of a veteran in Guram Kutateladze. There we go. And yeah, Vucinic, I think he should have been in the UFC a while ago. He's absolutely nasty. And Guram, he's a good striker. He got knocked out in the 3rd round of his most recent fight, which was about a year ago. And this is his first fight back since then. So he's going to have a little bit of ring rust here, but he's a good striker, good kicks, good submissions. He's super active on the ground when he does get taken down, super slippery, hard to get control time on him. And he has some pro kickboxing or a good amount of pro kickboxing experience as well. At one point, he was a really big prospect. He beat Gamrot like 4 years ago on short notice, and that's where kind of hype started to build around him. And he is coming off a couple of losses, slowed down the hype, plus a year away, obviously. And this is another short notice step up for him. And Jordan is one of those kind of like new wave MMA guys that has no actual background, just walked into an MMA gym, started training, kind of like Cedric Dumas, who's also on this card. I think he's a far, far more evolved fighter, though, at this point in his career. Skills are improving really quickly. He has insane cardio, loves a firefight. he's cool with planting his feet and striking. He also works for takedowns and subs when he sees an opportunity. Very well rounded. Is definitely a finisher. I would say he's like the complete package. Morgan Charrier, who we saw on that France card, very good fighter, actually lost to Jordan Vucinic. And I think he's really good, but like obviously this is a debut and it's short notice and it's on the other side of the planet in Abu Dhabi against a really talented striker like Garam Kutateladze. And I think he's lucky here that Garam is coming into this with ring rust. Strikers tend to experience being the side effects of being away from the ring a lot more than like wrestlers or grapplers do. And Jordan's super tough. I think we're getting him at a good spot to beat Garam here. He's almost half the price. I'm leading Jordan. And like, if you're looking for a bet somewhere, like if there's inside the distance, no action elsewhere. But like, honestly, because these are such cheap prices, it might not look that big of a difference, 73 cents, but it's relative to their opponent's price. So we're getting him at almost half the price. Like, great value here for Vucinic.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, it sounds like you're also believing this one's going to be going a little bit shorter in the decision time.
So, I would venture to say this one's far more likely than the Dudakova Sam Hughes fight to go within like 1.5 rounds. So I think like consensus, at least a couple of days ago, consensus odds favored Brenner in the same way, but those lines have been tightening a lot. I think Brenner might honestly end up by the end of this week as the favorite. He's 20-3. His one loss in the UFC was to Arman Tsarukyan, who we know is a beast. And
this is Alvarez, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I say Elvis?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, he's huge for the lightweight, 6'3". Joel Alvarez, that is. Not like a tiny little twig either. Like he's actually muscular and athletic, like not super skinny for being 6'3", like kind of crazy. He makes weight. Solid kicks, okay boxing when he's on the feet, uses his length pretty well, mostly on the ground though. He's an extremely talented grappler. Interestingly enough, he has never successfully landed a takedown in the UFC, has only ever defended one takedown, and he's still gone on to submit 4 of the 5 people who have taken him down. And the only person who's taken him down and hasn't been submitted was Arman Tsarukyan. So, and that worries me a tiny bit for Elvis, just because he does tend to like to take fights to the ground. He'll work you against the cage, drag you down, but he does have power in his hands. A handful of KOs in the UFC, a couple underdog KOs. Striking is definitely there, I would say. Yeah, but he normally tries to work people to the ground. I don't think that's the right move here against Joel Alvarez, and we don't really know how he's going to come in.
The market's not expecting this to go the full 3 rounds for what it's worth. The line's set at 1.5 total rounds.
I can see that for sure, because Alvarez is a submission hound. Brenner has just power in his hands, like aggressive ground game. So I think if this gets to the ground, Elvis is in trouble. I'm kind of trusting him here to at least attempt to keep it on the feet. He's the far more powerful striker. I would probably say the better boxer of the two as well. I just want Elvis to avoid wrestling offensively too much. And I'm going to pray that he has the same submission defense as Arman, because Arman's literally the only guy who's gone to the ground with Joel Alvarez that hasn't gotten submitted. So slight lean. Brenner, we're getting super good value for him on PS.
Yeah, this is probably one I'm staying away from on PS, because I do think Alvarez probably has a somewhat significant edge. I mean, he's right now at least a 2-1 favorite. I'm sure that will probably tighten up. We've seen that a lot with these type of cards in the past. But yeah, he built up a pretty significant win streak throughout a span of 3 or 4 years. Only lost was to Arman Tsarukyan, like you said. Came off of that loss and did get a victory. It's been about a year since he's fought, but I would lean Alvarez for his ability to finish fights on the ground. I also think he's capable of standing up. So probably stay away from it on PS, but this fight definitely has better value on PS. So if you are interested on Brenner, this is the place to use your money. Yeah,
I would agree.
Sounds good. All right, moving on to the next bout, we got Mark Zuckerberg versus Mackenzie Dern. Who do you like out of this fight? How do you see it going? I'm not sure how line value is looking, but
I think Loopy's a slight dog.
Yeah,
Loopy's a slight dog. All right, yeah, that's how it seems. So it's pretty close to an even fight projection-wise. With it, let's make sure we're looking at it. Yeah, pretty much expected to go the distance. How do you see this going down? It looks like a little bit of value on PS for the Loopy side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty similar discrepancy between the consensus markets and on PS. My gut probably says Mackenzie Dern by decision. I do think this fight probably goes the distance, like you said, Wells. That's just my lean, but I'm open to a different opinion.
I think I'm going to go Loopy here. I mean, so Dern, obviously, like the best grappler we've seen maybe of any woman, maybe even of any man in the UFC. Like, insane grappler. Isn't really new to the UFC anymore. She used to be kind of a huge prospect. But her striking and wrestling just haven't improved at all whatsoever. And it's like insane that she hasn't worked on those skill sets yet. She relies on her toughness. Most of the time she can 100% eat shots. Her takedowns are terrible. She has 15% takedown accuracy over like a pretty big sample size of fights. And she did actually get a takedown in her last fight against Amanda Lemos. But it's like my view on it is like early in her career, she could get away with just like doing the grappling and the grappling being her thing. But it's like now she's trying to fight better fighters. There aren't any secrets in her game plan, and she's just completely one-dimensional. The issue for me on the Loopy Godinez side of things is her fight IQ. She makes really, really questionable decisions and has lost fights literally just because of bad decision-making. Like against Verna Hondiroba, she was completely winning in the striking. And then when it got to the ground, she would just hang on to weird positions, looking for subs that would never happen. And it's like, just get back up. But Loopy is like small and compact. She's pretty thick, like is definitely a bullying type fighter, clean boxer and wrestler. Loopy's sister is actually competing for Mexico in wrestling in the Olympics right now. And yeah, she's a bully fighter, tons of talent. If she had a different brain, I think she could be the best fighter in the division. She's just wildly unreliable. For me, that was kind of a long explanation for me to just say like she has really good takedown defense, and I don't really see this one going to the ground with Mackenzie Dern's 15% takedown accuracy. Loopy is an insanely good striker, and it's like if she doesn't have to think about it too hard, which I think here she won't have to. She's not going against someone who has like a large toolkit of skills. She can't stand and bang. She can't take her down. I like Loopy here in a striking match, but it's like Loopy lost to Angela Hill as a favorite. She lost to Verna Hondiroba, which I guess that's gotten a little bit better because Verna like looks really good now. So that kind of looks a bit better on Loopy, but still, like I think it stays a striking match. She just makes bad decisions all the time.
Sure. All right. Well, heard it there. All right. I honestly thought he retired, but we apparently have Tony Ferguson still fighting.
Dude, he should have retired.
Versus Michael Chiesa. Walk me through this one. I don't even need to kind of look at the market. I feel like that's going to be seen as a quick fight, and I'd probably put first round finish. No, it's considered actually 50-50 chance to go 3 rounds. So
what's Ferguson's price currently?
444.
Ooh. I mean, Chiesa's pretty good value there. I mean, that's a pretty tight price difference on PS, and on consensus markets, it's about as big of a favorite as you'll ever see in the sport. I think if you're taking this on a consensus site, it's probably worth just staying away. The 7.5 to 1 is probably just not worth the risk here. I mean, it doesn't really seem like Tony has that much left, so I don't know if it's really that much of a risk, but it's just probably worth staying away from. It's just the value doesn't seem all that great. Chiesa should cruise here, and on PS, it feels like a pretty decent investment opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. I think PS is presenting a pretty good buy point here for Chiesa, like considering Tony's such a huge dog in this. Don't know why Tony's still in the UFC. He's on a 7-fight losing streak. His last win was in 2019 against Cowboy Cerrone. That was an eye injury win. I mean, Michael Chiesa should honestly have no problem here. I think he shoots takedowns early, gets it to the ground. And if he doesn't, Tony doesn't even have one-punch knockout power or anything. So, yeah. Chiesa here, great investment spot on PS, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's considered a 1 in 3 chance for Chiesa to get submission in round 1.
I like that.
So that's the lowest out of the projected early finishes. So moving on, we have a more entertaining fight, which Grant was talking about earlier about this should honestly be on the main card instead.
But I think this should be the main event probably, but Sandhagen's obviously a big name as well. But this one, what are the prices looking like for? Yeah, okay. So I mean, Tito's a must invest for me. I am a little weary about this fight. It does feel like Davison is a guy where if he gets you on the ground, especially a guy like Cheeto, who's not the most prepared for those situations, he thrives more in standing up type combat. I feel like it could go bad quickly if Davison can get a hold of an arm or kind of get Cheeto in some bad spots. But on PS and honestly, even on a consensus site, Cheeto has been a very intriguing opportunity for me. I feel like this week he's one of my favorite fighters to watch, and I think he kind of just ran into a guy who was just a little bit better at his exact type of craft in Sean O'Malley. This is a situation where he will be the superior striker, which is a situation that he thrives in, and I feel like Cheeto is a must on all platforms probably, but definitely on Prediction Strike.
Yeah, dude, this price difference is insane. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
I'm a huge Cheeto fan. I like Davey too, but
it's a must value. It's a must value on Prediction Strike.
It's a must value. It's just I like him. I like Cheeto. For me, it's just like he is so tough, especially in a striking match. And it's like I think Davison would be kind of dumb not to realize that. Like I don't see any realm in which Davison even like entertains a striking match with Cheeto. I think he's just gonna like wrestle. And Cheeto doesn't have the best takedown defense at all. No. Plus Cheeto is like, I mean, he's not a fast starter at all. He is kind of like a main event 5-round fight kind of fighter. And it's like, I think Davey is going to get the first round. And then after that, he only needs to win 1 of 2 rounds because it's a 3-round fight to win it. Just because he's going to come out shooting. If it gets to the ground, it's going to be a Figueiredo first round. But this is must-do value on Cheeto. It's like everyone's a Cheeto fan. Everyone wants to see him win. It's like maybe it's hard to touch that Cheeto line anywhere else, but on Prediction Strike, like you're not risking anything.
Yeah, if I had to just pick a winner of the fight, I think I would probably lean Davison, but just with that value, it's almost impossible to pass up on, I think.
Totally. Yeah, this is going to be a super fun fight.
Very exciting. All right. With that being said, we now get to talk about ourselves a pirate here, and Shara versus Michael Olechek. Another kind of big price difference, but I think this one's a little bit more understandable. If I remember correctly, Jackson, this was a guy you were pretty high on coming into the UFC.
Shara or Michael O?
Shara.
Oh yeah, I love the pirate, dude. I mean, I think he's going to be great. We saw him against Trocoli last fight. I kind of had some questions afterwards. I'm a huge Shara fan though. That was on short notice as well. He was able to finish Trocoli, but it's like he wasn't really looking like the killer you would kind of expect the pirate to go out and look like. He wasn't really throwing combos at all. It was like big one shots at a time. But yeah, he's a great prospect. The UFC is obviously trying to push him. Like you can tell because he's getting this particular event that like they think he could definitely be something. super dangerous striker generally, 13 fights, 11 KOs, has competed in lots of different martial arts, diverse striking techniques, doesn't really shoot takedowns, defends them okay. Michael O, very good striker as well, really fast hands and tons of power. I think he kind of tends to fade a little bit, but 6 KOs and 7 of his wins, an absolute finisher. Has some grappling holes that I don't think are going to be exploited at all by Shara here. We just saw him come off a submission loss to Holland. And Shara looked really low volume to me in the last fight. I think he's still very, very good. Mikal is he's powerful, dangerous, particularly early in a fight. But if Shara's not a killer, like I like the odds here on Mikal. Like I might go against the hype here. Mikal's only lost to top 15 ranked opponents. That's definitely not Shara. So slight lean Mikal, but it's a tough one to bet, I think.
Yeah, Mikal kind of has an awkward stance as well. It could kind of cause some problems. It's something that most fighters aren't used to. Southpaw. But I do feel like on PS, you're probably right. Mikal is definitely the play here, given the price discrepancy. If I was just picking a winner, though, I think I would take Shara. I think he's probably a little bit more skilled. He also said he's coming to avenge the knockouts that Mikal had against fellow Russian fighters, and he's fighting for his country in this one. So a little bit of team to throw in there.
I feel like because Shara can only fight like in Saudi Arabia and like Abu Dhabi and stuff. Like maybe they just like threw him on this card. Like, oh, Michael O's on this card. This is like a fine matchup for you. So maybe it's a little bit rushed on their end, but I don't know. I wish Shara is coming off of a movie shoot.
All right. So for what it's worth, Shara is projected to win basically 50-50 shot. He wins by knockout is the expectation. This is supposed to be the shortest fight on the card.
Agreed.
But like it sounds like you guys are both willing to see the optimism with Michael. Like, how do you see him getting that win? It sounds like an awkward stance or something. Does that lead you think to like?
It'll be within the distance. I feel like
still regardless.
And it's like I think it could even be first round finish if it is Mikal. He comes out firing like good striking differential. Definitely is more of an early fighter, and he's a knockout artist too. So.
All right. So what do we do here first? Our main event or the actual main event?
This sauce is looking at me crazy. I feel like I got to just get it over with.
All right, let's do it. For context here, we made a little off the records bet after our 2 podcasts ago. We were going to bet on the Brad Tavares fight. I was on the Tavares side of things, but that ended up getting canceled, obviously. So we pivoted. Grant bet Kanan Kraszewski. I bet Kurt Hollabaugh. Kurt ended up winning by knockout. So here we are on our pod with Grant and a spoonful of the last dab.
We got some bomb here. We lost Wells.
I'm here. I'm just letting them get a better view of you.
Okay. We got the bomb here. Yeah. It's about 70 to 80 times hotter than a jalapeno, I guess. Pretty good with spice. I'm not too concerned yet, but we'll see quickly. We have like six drops on a piece right now. We'll take a bite and we'll see if we want to attempt to add more. It's a chicken tender.
Oh, hell yeah.
Smart move. Ooh, the ASMR.
Start like this.
Yeah,
I think 6 drops is a fair starting point.
I did too. Walk us through it, Grant.
It gets on you early for sure. In the throat. Chase with a little pickle here.
Oh, nice.
Smart man.
It's not like so bad yet, but it's not great. We'll get one more bite in.
All right.
It sounds like we might need to up the intensity.
Yeah.
Oh, it is coming on hot.
Is it hitting the throat?
Yeah, it's stuck there.
Damn.
We'll do one other bite. We got a couple drops on this guy here.
That looks menacing, that color. It's like black.
Yeah, it smells terrible too. It smells like gasoline. Get another pickle ready. All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Kanan, if you're watching this, you did this to Grant.
Yeah, fuck you, dude. All right. I mean, it's going to sit here for the rest of this podcast, but I think right. Now we're doing all right.
All right, you did it. You did it.
Maybe lingering.
Maybe if you want some vengeance, we make another pick at the end of this.
You'll have to ship this bottle back and forth.
That'd be heinous. Yeah. All right. So next fight, we have Corey Sandhagen versus. Oh my God! I don't even want to share this. This isn't fair. Like, you can't really talk about the fight accurately with these prices.
Wait, what is Umar? Oh, holy shit! That is not good for PS.
No,
that's such a liability.
Yeah. Oh my God. We got a 3-1 favorite at a third of the price of Sandhagen. So yeah, I mean, that's basically the end of this podcast. Don't buy anybody on the card except for Umar, and just go
Umar and just enjoy your weekend.
Yeah. And it's so basically Corey, I think, has the potential to make this a really exciting fight. Everyone knows who he is at this point. Super athletic, tough, good power for his size, very solid technique, good BJJ, wide variety of attacks coming off the Rob Font win. And Umar is just like, when you see the last name Nurmagomedov, you know exactly who this guy is and what he does. 5 fights in the UFC, almost 30 minutes of control time between those fights. 14.
You know the name.
Yeah, exactly. 2 submission wins. And striking isn't the best, or isn't good at all, really, but he does have a knockout win, I will add. Uses kicks as sort of range control and then just lunges in for that takedown. Absolute chain wrestler. Coming off the decision win over Bektek Almakhan, who is kind of a nobody. And I think we were all talking about Bektek as a potential prospect, that no one was talking about, who was a huge underdog against Umar when we went over that fight. And Bektek did end up dropping Umar.
But yeah, he was the one that he was Umar was a minus 1,500 favorite or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bektek dropped him at the beginning of the fight, but Umar just stayed composed. And that I'd say that it's more of a good thing for Umar that he fought through adversity rather than he got dropped by Bektek, because it's when we were analyzing Bektek's fights, it was this guy might actually be kind of a lot better than people think he is. Ultimately, I think Corey gets taken down. He has 64% takedown defense. He is the more well-rounded fighter. But it's as simple as, if he's not going to be able to defend these takedowns from Umar, he's going to have a really hard time getting it done. So I lean Umar here. If I were an investor, I'd be putting everything on him on Prediction Strike, or if I were allowed to do that, I should say. And if I think Corey, if he had the tiniest bit more power, he'd be an extremely live dog.
Yes, Sandhagen's frisky for sure, but it just feels with this price,
it's so
no other possible way to analyze this. I think if you were just looking at the consensus odds, you kind of could talk yourself into Corey a little bit, like you were explaining earlier this morning. But after having a look at this, it just feels like it's Umar for sure. I think he probably finishes this one, but he's also a guy that's capable where if he's in trouble, he can just take Corey down and kind of stall out time and bank up some control time to outpoint him. So I just don't really see too much of a risk here. This feels somewhat mandatory.
This is mandatory. I'm scared to advertise this one in the Discord even.
No, because it's literally
let him find it.
It's too good of a play. But with that said, we're gonna let Grant go get himself some milk and recover, do his best.
It's not sitting well, I'll tell you that. It's still just as potent as when it first touched my throat.
Dude, yeah, I bet it lingers for 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's still there.
Crazy.
Do you have any stances that we disagreed on throughout the conversation to redeem yourself, Grant?
Let's check it out.
I felt like you guys were pretty in line this card.
There was Joel Alvarez and Elvis Brenner. I'd be down to take the dog in Elvis Brenner.
All right.
All right.
Give me Joel.
All right, bet. Elvis Brenner and Joel Alvarez is the fight.
I feel like I'm just going to take a dollop a week now.
Yeah. All right, bet.
Jackson becomes like a top 1% UFC sharp. And you're just like, he's just giving you like what are seem to be favorites.
Yeah.
I might just be immune to spice after a while.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. With that said, though,
I'll hit this papaya salad spice challenge at the place next door to my crib. Apparently, there's only like 10 name or fake photos on the wall. I think it is pretty damn hard. So,
is it big or it's just spicy?
It's like a bowl, like a kind of like a soup bowl size of papaya salad, and it's just spicy, just straight spice.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, bet.
All right. With that said, that's all we really have for UFC. Keep an eye out for some NFL content that we're going to be dropping this week. Hopefully, that'll be fun as well. Keeping an eye on all things training camp and just what's going on in the world of just sports is just fascinating. All right. With that said, that's all we really have here. Hopefully, Grant will recover. Jackson, we'll see how this next one does. Till next time,
sweating.
Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Enjoy your weekend of free Umar. That's just... might have to talk to a few people about that. But yeah, appreciate you all. Have a great weekend.
Peace out, y'all.